Folks, welcome to the Digital Collective. I'm your host, James Hicks from HicksNewMedia. And on this show, we focus on the people, platforms, and tools that are making positive strides within the technology sector. Today, my guest is the fantastic leadership team from Headliner. Many of you in the content creation space know about Headliner. If you don't, by the end of today's session, you definitely will, and you have appreciation for the platform, the tools, and the services that they provide. Think audiograms, think repurposed micro content across all social platforms, think video transcription, all the things, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the platform updates that they have, what you can expect from these new updates. Going to dive down into them, and hopefully this will be as engaging and as interactive as it typically is within this community. So with that, let's go ahead and get it in.
Professional headshot.
Well, I do what I can, man. I step it up a notch when I got you on, right, Neil? So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I appreciate you for being here in the community, and I especially appreciate these amazing brains and minds that are here today as well to join me in this conversation. He's looking around for people. He's looking for his kids. It's going to be that kind of stream today,
folks. Amazing brains and minds. Come on.
Maybe it's just Bailey. Let's just Bailey.
Yeah, just Bailey for sure.
Awesome.
On a good day.
Neil, I tell you what, let's go ahead. Some of my community knows who Headliner is. Again, a lot of my community, they're business entrepreneurs and content creators. I had Oliver on a few months ago, right? And he talked about some of the products and platforms that you have, but the origin story of what Headliner is as a company and what you're providing today. If you want to, we can actually, so here's a little twist. We can actually get into a feature functionality comparison of some similar tools that are out there in the marketplace. I'm not going to instigate anything, but I want folks to understand and know what Headliner is providing and the value, right, that you're providing as well. So with that, man, I'm gonna turn it. I'm just gonna leave that out there, right? I'm gonna turn that over to you, man. Can you give the origin story of what Headliner is?
Sure. Well, thanks for having us on, James. Bailey's going to do most of the talking on our new product, but we're happy to be here. We've known each other from the origin story. Actually goes back to our last startup to some extent. So our last startup was one of the big content recommendation companies on the internet, and so we've been in the business of helping people find great information for more than a decade now. So that company was Enlighten. We got the band back together in 2015, basically focused in on audio. We had an app called SpareMin, probably a little early, very focused in on social audio. The idea being in your spare time, you can help people quickly make a micro podcast, a very short amount of hopefully knowledge or entertainment or something to that effect, and put it out there on the internet. And what we found is when you shared audio to the internet, it actually didn't resonate very well. So I like to say, unfortunately, audio is a kind of redheaded stepchild on the internet. Most platforms don't support audio natively. And so what we did is convert it over to video. And then all of a sudden, you got all the listens and the likes and the views, and engagement started happening, especially on social media. So we actually pivoted the entire company over to this
once again
kind of feature. This feature we had on SpareMin, which I think Bailey came in and helped really rebrand around Headliner. And so we've really been kind of just focused in on Headliner, helping people share, like what we like to say is share the magic of spoken word audio across the internet. Right?
I love it.
Amazing. Audio is an amazing medium. So much out there that's getting created that's just not getting listened to, just because it's so hard to get to. And so Headliner's really been focused in on bringing audio to where people are. And our kind of core main product that everyone's familiar with is the audio to video conversion tool, so that you can put kind of flashier stuff out there on social media. In fact, I know you've been a fan of it, so thank
Man,
you.
listen, I'm gonna go ahead and give you these flowers ahead of time, right? What you're doing with Headliner is just lights speed in front of what anyone else is doing, because it's 100% customizable, right? There's some other fantastic platforms out there as well, but when you look on the internet and you see an audiogram or video conversion or transcription from X, Y, and Z company. Again, everyone does a great job, but with Headliner, to the nth degree, you can customize it. You can customize the waveform. You can customize the text. You can do all the background. I should get a hat or a shirt from the company, because I'm here proselytizing.
Consider it done. We'll get you one.
No,
We'll get
but
you one.
I will make sure, folks, if you don't already have a link to the platform, I will send you a link to Headliner as well. But it's crazy what you were saying. What's old is new again, right? Because you were so early for audio. And if there's any blessing of the pandemic, there is no blessing. But the fact was, again, folks now start re-looking at podcasts, reconsidering just the audio and the communication piece. And I think that's kind of where, see, that perfect segue to what Bailey's doing there. Because she's the one that does all the work. Neil, you've got the co-founder and the CEO headline, but
as I like to say, I take out the garbage still. So I do whatever's
I love,
needed.
because Bailey's tagline is living at the crossroads of design, marketing, and strategy. Huh? I do my homework.
Yeah.
I do my homework.
Yeah. That was pre-Headliner. I'm sure that might still apply, but that was my solo days. But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so tell folks, what your role is, and then about the product and how it integrates into the overall platform, what you're focusing on right now, and what we're looking to bring to market from the corporate perspective.
Yeah, so I'm Bailey. I'm the product lead for Eddy. You might hear me refer to it as Eddy. It's our Headliner's new text-based podcast editing solution. So we launched it officially on Product Hunt last week, and we kind of put it out in beta 2 months ago to get some early users of Headliner to try it out. It is really a podcast editing solution. It allows podcasters to upload their audio, get a transcript, and edit their podcast from the transcript. We created this when we had this overwhelming feedback from podcasters of what was the hardest part about podcasting. It was editing, kept coming up and up again, which we were thankful for, because it used to be marketing their podcasts and what to do with that.
Right.
And so we like to think we helped solve some of that with Headliner, the main company. And so we wanted to tackle the next big issue, which was editing and making editing easier. The biggest kind of issue we were hearing was that it was time consuming, and there was a high learning curve for all of the products that exist out there now. So we were solving that problem by making it text-based, which I've mentioned, which is like a familiar non-waveform based way to edit. It's a familiar non-text form way to edit. You read it like a text document. You delete sections of the audio like you would from the text itself. I can actually, James, do you want me to switch it over to my tab?
Yeah, let's do that. Bailey's going to take over now, folks. I'm just going to sit back and be the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes here, right? I love it.
See, this is what happens in real life too, James.
Yeah, so it's helpful to show what I'm talking about versus just using words. I'm a visual person, so for me at least. But yeah, this is Eddy. This is a project open in Eddy of actually a Twitter space that's been recorded and then transcribed here. We have the transcription in the center and then speakers on the left-hand side. So if you wanted to edit this audio, traditionally you would upload this into a DAW, which would then have a waveform that you just kind of have to figure out what to do from there. But with Eddy, you upload it in here, you can read through or listen back. So you hit play,
our podcasters,
and it starts playing the audio back. So you can listen and follow along at the same time. Or if you are in a silent space that you don't have headphones, it doesn't stop you from editing your audio. You can simply go through and read and say, oh, we don't want, so James screenshot shows the podcast tab, right? Like for some reason, we decide this is not what we want in the final edit. You highlight it like you do text, and then you can hit this delete button or backspace on your keyboard. And now when you play the audio back,
yeah, so looks like it's going to be,
it skips this section of audio. So that's now deleted from your final exported audio. Another kind of thing with Eddie is we're not perfect. We're new little babies. And so you might have noticed, I don't know if you can hear the audio, but
Yes.
there's a little bit of so left in this cut.
yeah, so looks like,
And you just, if that ever happens, which is not common, but does happen, you just click into the word and there's a waveform here. You just adjust it over to where it covers the entire waveform or the section of the audio.
yeah,
And you hit playback, and then you can check it and make sure it's good and continue on with your editing.
That's cool, because that's so easy. And I'm thinking of the content creators that are here in the audience and those that are going to watch on the replay, and just thinking of some other tools that are out there, and just what you just did just now, bringing up a separate waveform and being able to slice and dice very meticulously. That's a check mark in the Eddie column for sure right now.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it as simple and as unintrusive as possible. Sometimes the hardest part of the new software is just that it's very intimidating to look at, where you don't know where to click, what to click. So our idea was to let you start, and then you start, and then to edit, it's another step that's quick and easy to do and accomplishes your goals of getting a well edited episode out. Another cool thing about Eddie that I'll mention real quick is you can you can search for anything, but we have a quick tag of filler words. So we have a list of common filler words like those type of words where you can click this. It will find all of those filler words within your audio and return the results here. From here, you can delete them individually. It will take you to wherever they are. You don't always want to delete filler words. Sometimes they help. Yeah. And so you can just listen back and say, actually, I want to keep this one, but I want to delete this one. And you just hit the delete button, and then it's gone, as you can see. And then clicking back, you can adjust if needed or leave it as is. And if you want to delete them all you need to do is hit the delete all button. And then you can see they both grayed out. This is a shorter document with well-spoken women who did not use many ums or ahs when talking. So that's another kind of newish feature that we have. And then the last thing I'll say about Eddie is that you can update the transcript. We always want to help podcasters improve their workflow. And since the transcript was already here, we felt that beyond just being an editor of the audio, that it would be a nice to have to allow podcasters just to come in and update, say sense was not supposed to be sense. We could update this to whatever like we would want it to be. Let's say Sally. Not sure that makes sense, but you can update the transcript by double clicking in.
Okay.
Or if there's a word that's misspelled, mostly names can get misspelled sometimes. So say Jane is actually Janie. You just correct all of them through hitting correct all, and then all Janes will be updated to Janie. So you see Jane, there's no results now, and Janie, there's 3.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, you got fans. You've been talking all of 10 minutes, and like Mr. Matt Haas says, I didn't know this existed, but he's got to have it, right? I mean, it was just so simple and so easy. So that edited transcript, that file is saved hopefully somewhere, right? Right up there, export, right? So I can actually export that file and upload that into YouTube, so I can have that there. That's what I was looking for, the VTT file. Okay.
Yeah, so you can export your audio here. Any audio that's exported is in the file format of the audio that you uploaded. So upload an MP3 and it's
Okay.
exported as MP3, WAV, etc. This is .x, or so a text file, and then VTT here. SRT has been requested and is on the roadmap to come in. And then the plan is in the next couple of month or so to have video support as well.
Video support as well. Talk a little bit about that.
This will allow, right now it's audio only, so you can upload just your audio. But many podcasters have switched to using Zoom or other video platforms such as you right now, and they'll be able to upload the video file and edit the same way. So making a cut here will make the cut to their video file. So it's not just audio. They can have the YouTube video also be edited at the same time.
That's too cool. So, okay. All kind of questions are popping up in my mind, and I know some of the folks that are watching right now. Neil, don't get nervous. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna ask anything that's under NDA.
No. But I want to highlight one thing,
yes, sir.
which you touched on. So I think the beauty of, at least for me, from what we have at Headliner, is we have a lot of these pieces, and so Bailey was able to put this product together in literally like 3 months or less, like in a matter of weeks, right? And I think the one thing I want to stress is what Bailey mentioned around the steep learning curve, right? So podcasting, if you think about the industry, before Anchor kind of made mobile podcasting, it was kind of daunting to a lot of people, non-technical people, right? And Anchor has some pros and cons and so on. But what it did do, no matter what, even if you're anti-Anchor, is that it brought so many people who wanted the podcast up to podcasting. But then you got to editing your podcast, even just to clean up a little bit. And then now all of a sudden you got onto a whole new steep learning curve of like, how do we do this and where do we do it and so on. And I think and we're hoping that basically this tool can become a much easier kind of replacement to some of the audio DAWs out there, or even some of the text-based kind of editors that have really moved into like super steep learning curves and very pro type tools. And hopefully get, like I was saying before, is all this like amazing audio out there in the world for people to hear and listen.
Definitely. Now, my question, and that actually bodes another question that I had. I'm just going to forget the notes that I had. Yeah, I forget the whole runner show, right? I mean, being able to share that across multiple platforms, right? So how this integrates with Headliner Co, right? Overall, am I able to take that transcription, turn that into an audiogram? Am I able to share that across multiple social platforms as micro content? Is there some integration or some hooks behind the scenes of Disco and Eddie and and all the things that you do?
Yeah, I can kind of take that.
Yeah. Glad you asked.
Yeah. So with Eddie, it's kind of great. We already have it. In Eddie, you can select the text, and instead of clicking the backspace button, like I showed to delete the text, you might have noticed a video icon. That video icon takes whatever audio you selected with the edits that you've made. So if you deleted an that will be deleted, and that will be sent to Headliner to make your audiogram, transcript and everything. So right now, that's the integration between Headliner and Eddie, and as we move forward with Eddie in particular, the goal is, Neil mentioned that we have a lot of the pieces to kind of this bigger podcasting puzzle, and we want to better help podcasters discover their episodes. And with Eddie, we will be looking into how we can help them funnel their podcast into Disco or through Headliner to better promote their episodes. So there will be tools and different features that we build out over the next kind of quarter or two that's connecting all of these together to create separate but one big kind of super stream of helpful podcaster tools.
Got you. I'm folks in the community. If you got a question, put a Q in front of it so I can bubble it up to Bailey and Neil. You mentioned it, so I'm gonna ask it. You talked about Disco, right? And again, that because a lot of us that are in the content creation space not only do video, not only do audio, but we also do the old school contextual blog piece. That integration piece, and could you just explain what that is so we don't want to assume by just mentioning the platform, and I'll actually show it when we bring it up here.
Thanks. Yeah, James. I'll jump in here. So Bailey touched on it a little bit earlier. The two biggest issues we heard for podcasters is how do I grow my show, i.e. market effectively, and then secondly, this whole like post-production or like editing your podcast and getting it ready for out there. Those are the two biggest pain points. So Headliner, the social tool that everyone's kind of familiar with us, has gotten podcasts out there to, on the order of 50 to 100 million people a month via social channels, right? And now we are kind of trying to do the next thing. And James, you know this from our previous company. We are trying to get podcasts contextually placed wherever you might be, specifically on articles on the web. So the idea being you're reading an article about college graduations, which I know you're, or high school graduations.
Both.
Yeah, all of the above. If there's podcasts related to that topic, we can bring those there. And so right now, we've just started this product for the last few months, but you actually have it running on your blog, as you can see there. So that box below, related podcasts.
You can tell all the ads, right, where I've been shopping, where I've been looking, all these B&H ads.
I know, all the contextual.
I should be running in incognito mode, but oh well. But yeah.
But the idea is that your podcast content gets delivered to your readers, and we can convert readers into listeners. And if you think about it, there's still a lot more readers on the internet than there are listeners to podcasts, right? So the internet, we like to kind of think big numbers here. So the globe is about 8 billion people. The internet's about 5 billion people now. 4 to 5 billion, and podcasting still only in the few hundred millions. But these news websites are in the billions as well, right? And so how do we help spread the magic of podcasting out there? This is our next kind of product that really focuses in on beyond social and YouTube, getting your audio out there onto more places where people might consume it.
So how is Eddie going to, I guess, and maybe it's too early to ask, how is Eddie going to look again at the bottom of a post on my site? Is it going to be just an audiogram with the contextual words, or how have you already thought about that piece, Bailey?
Yeah, how the piece is put together. Yeah. Well, I think we're still trying to flush it out, to be honest. But I think what Bailey talked about is, hey, there's kind of two pieces of things happening. One is what Bailey talked about, which is taking a piece of content from Eddie and being able to quickly make an audiogram. And from that audiogram, it can get dispersed out on the Disco network, either through an ad or organically, like on your page, etc. That's one way. The other way is we've got this immense amount of data of like, hey, here are the clips that are now working and resonating across the internet, or that people are going and creating in Headliner, right? So we're making 10, 20,000 videos a day in Headliner. We know, hey, these are this is the text and the audio that people are picking. We're hoping to bring that all the way back into Eddie so that when Bailey's looking at that big transcript dump, all of a sudden, hey, here are the interesting areas of the podcast based upon what we think. And maybe this will save you time figuring out what you want to promote as well. So we kind of see it as, can we take these pieces end to end and stitch them together to make the entire process easier, better?
It sounds better coming from you than me, but that's exactly where I was wanting to go. I really want folks to understand kind of the consolidation of the toolkit, right? And being able to use one main umbrella platform, headliner, do the audiograms, do the transcription, do all the things like I say under one umbrella, as opposed to clicking on this link, importing, exporting, and all of that. Everything just seamlessly will work together and provide a high quality, high converting piece of content. Bailey, let me ask you: Are there current limitations in terms of how do I get the files into Eddie first? Right, would be one question. How do I get files into Eddie? And are there limitations or requirements in terms of file size, file types for Eddie as well? Right. I mean, just the MP3, MP4, whatever the MOV, all of those things, right, that we worry about, that we probably shouldn't worry about, hopefully that you worried about. But are there requirements for how to get the files into, and what files that you actually allow into Eddie?
Yeah, so I didn't show the dashboard, but the screen before what I showed is the dashboard. You go to editeddie.com, and once you're logged in, you'll be on your dashboard, which from that screen, you just drag and drop in or upload your audio file. What type of audio file that can be is any common one that you use. So MP3, MP4, WAV, M4A, AAC. So it kind of covers the gamut. And for size, well, you let us know. So far, there's no restrictions in place that would stop you from uploading any size, but performance might decrease if you go insane. If you want to test it and you're like, here's 24 hours worth of audio,
yeah,
it probably will take a long time to process and might time out. But any 2 hours, 3 hours file size is all work.
Okay.
4 hours.
Okay, because I think the record is, we call it a 5-hour energy stream, right? Kind of in the eCam community, but at a most we're talking 60 to 90 minutes, right, of content. And that transcription time, can you give kind of a rough estimate of 45 to 60 minute audio file uploaded into Eddie? How long before I see that transcription?
Yeah, a third of the time.
Okay.
So if it's a 90-minute episode, then you can expect it to take about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
On a good day, it will be a little less. On a bad day, it will be a little bit more, like 35 minutes. But it's typically a third of the time is a good estimate.
Okay. I'm just ready to put it to use. I know I'm kind of already using it, but I don't want to show folks my dashboard because there's things that they shouldn't be seeing just yet. I know you've only been knocking away at this for a short period of time, and just the level of effort and the time and what you already have to produce, and the fact that it's already out there is phenomenal. So kudos to you on that. But
well, thanks.
We're greedy.
It's a team effort.
Well, Oliver didn't do anything because he's not here. We can talk about him. Neil again was just there taking out the trash, but again, it was all about
That's
Bailey.
very important. The trash needs to be taken out. I'll tell you what, couldn't do it if the trash is still here.
Hilarious. I was gonna say, we're greedy. We now we have audio from you, and we want video too, right? We are moving towards that dynamic. We know that YouTube is going to start supporting video podcasts on the platform. And again, that's where a lot of content creators are focusing their content delivery. So where do you fit kind of in that continuum in terms of the roadmap of being able to support video podcasts uploaded into YouTube?
Yeah, so we definitely want to give podcasters video. It's important to us that we keep up with their needs, and video is huge, right? We're a video company first, and we're kind of like going backwards, and not backwards, but like going back to audio first. To really, our goal is to make sure that the editing process is simple and that it's usable and that we have all of the kinks of editing, not all, but a good many of the basic kinks of editing worked out before we introduce a different set of features like video, or complexities, I guess. So video is next up on our roadmap for big features, and we will be having video support here soonish. And yeah, so it will work very similar to the audio. We'll be able to export immediately. You'll be able to export the video file, or you'll be able to send the same way you do with the audio. Now you can send it to Headliner. Then from there, we will probably explore how it looks to have the posting straight to YouTube, or if that goes through Headliner itself, since you can do that now through there. Headliner has automatic posting to YouTube, which is a fun little thing people might not know about.
Yeah,
So,
talk a little bit about that, because I use that daily, right? And it's so convenient, again, to be able to pull the audio out. So talk a little bit about that capability, again, taking out the steps in the workflow and having Headliner do all of those administrative tasks behind the scene, so we can just focus on the content, and you're already automatically exporting to YouTube.
yeah, Neil's probably better to speak on it than that. I know high level that you can do it, but most of my energy is usually focused on Eddie.
Yeah, I can jump in. So I guess the big update to Headliner last year was our automation engine, right? Which does exactly what you said, you set a feed and set your template, and hopefully you forget about it. Basically, we will take your audio and publish to YouTube directly, either your full episode. So there's been a bunch of podcasts whose YouTube strategy is essentially Headliner converting their videos up and getting audience via the audiograms for their full episodes, right? And then what we also have in automation is the ability to take clips. That goes back to that stuff I was talking about earlier around trying to figure out the best parts of a podcast and serve it up to people. That doesn't auto post because we want users to kind of approve that, because when the AI is great, it's jaw dropping, but when it's not great, people are like, why did it pick this? Right. So we don't have auto posting on that, but it's gotten there where people have said, hey, can you just auto post this stuff out to social networks? So you'll probably be seeing that before the end of the year from us as well. Okay. So the whole idea is, look, you've done the work, hopefully, to make amazing audio content. From there, all this other stuff around promotion and editing and so on, let us try to simplify that as much as possible across our kind of suite of tools. And automation just makes a lot of sense in there. Like, why should you be doing the same tasks every week just because you produced a new episode? If you're going to go upload this to YouTube, label it the same, follow some template, et cetera, all that can get automated, and that's all automated now in Headliner. It's one of our kind of core use cases for YouTube at this point. Okay. And like you said, YouTube's grown tremendously over the past few years. It started out as one of the smaller places people shared, and now it's actually grown into the place our largest social network. I'm curious to see, we just launched LinkedIn last month, an integration with LinkedIn and with TikTok, I think just this past week. I'm curious to see how these newish platforms, LinkedIn I know is making a big push into podcasting, and TikTok is making a push into everything, it seems like. Yeah. So I'm curious to see where things shake out. But Instagram was kind of our leading platform where people share to, but now YouTube's kind of overtaken it over the past year as well. And I think largely because of this automation feature to take your entire episode up to YouTube.
That's cool. I want to mention something as well about Headliner that I don't want folks to be overlooked. The fact that you have a mobile app that works and is incredibly functional was one of the reasons why I, at the day zero, said I'm using Headliner as opposed to something else, right? Being able to save it on the web, then access it immediately off of the mobile app, and then push it out to wherever. Just the functionality that's built in, and the tie-in between the desktop and the web interface and environment to the mobile app. Kudos to you on that, man, because that's huge. You may think that that's small or anything or insignificant. That's it.
It was actually backstory there is it was actually just to better support Instagram posters, right? Like, I mean, Instagram didn't support desktop posting, and so we had to go through mobile, and so it was really kind of put together. Again, our team is just amazing. I think we turned that around also in like less than 2 months, the first initial kind of mobile app, and I think I'm still floored how many kind of reviews we get and how much people love it, because I know you're complimenting it. We still haven't reached feature parity with the desktop app. There's still things you can do in desktop that you can't do on mobile, but that automation to YouTube, a lot of the workflow stuff, not so much all the creative bells and whistles you see in Headliner, but in terms of most of the workflow stuff, all that's in the mobile app, which really has been, it started out as, I think now it's close to almost, I think 1 out of every 3 signups comes from our mobile app. It's
cool.
Pretty impressive.
That's cool. You guys, you keep talking about what you've done in 2 months, a quarter. Imagine after a whole year, right? What's coming out of the the Headliner camp. I've got 2 specific questions that I want to ask, and Bailey, the first one is to you. Transcription is included. Transcription is tough, but you're including that with, I guess, all of the plans, right? Are there specific plans that are offered, tiers, or whatever the case may be? And I guess I could wrap all the questions up into this. Having transcription included, are there limitations on words, hours, minutes, that type of thing? And then the pricing strategy, right? Because at the end of the day, right, we want it, but how much is it going to, from a wallet perspective and from an investment and subscription perspective, whatever the case may be? So Bill, I guess I'll turn those over to you.
Yeah, so pricing is always interesting for any company, but especially in podcasting. And with us, our goal is to, make things easier and to help the space move forward and also keep the lights on. So we like to keep things as free as possible, and sometimes freer. We don't like cheap. We like free type of thing.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of with Eddie, we're trying to figure out, in the process of figuring out, what the best way is to keep it going through monetization, and also support new podcasters get over that hump of being a new podcaster, right? Like the upstart costs, we don't want to replace the editing cost, the time to edit, with an actual monetary cost of like, oh, I can't continue this podcast because it costs too much, which inevitably will happen. But we're very conscious of doing the right thing in terms of pricing and how that relates to the current Headliner pricing. All that to say is we're still figuring out exactly what the pricing plan will be for Eddie and how it relates to Headliner and Headliner tiers. Transcript, no matter what, will always be included in every tier that exists for Eddie, because it's the way that Eddie works.
Okay.
Without transcription, you cannot edit your podcast.
Right.
So I think that there will always transcribe your audio with Eddie, no matter what tier you're on. And then limits, there will be limits eventually. There will be a paid plan, but the free plan will be generous.
Take advantage of it now is what she's saying. But
get it now,
also,
folks. Get it
now. But also, as you know, with Headliner, we're probably the most free. I know you probably have a paid account because of all the stuff you do and so on, James. But we're probably the most free out there on the kind of landscape of people who do this, and we, because our mission isn't necessarily just solely focused on the dollars. It's like I said from the get-go, it's all this amazing content. How do we get it out there in the world? That's really where we stay focused, and my investors may not like to hear that, but as long as we can keep growing and bringing in some more money, which we've done a decent job of, we can keep it as free, and let more creators use the tools they need to keep on growing themselves.
Love that. I mean, we pay attention to what we pay for. Right. I'll say that. And a high majority of folks within this content creation ecosystem know value. And whatever you set that number to be, and whatever feature set it is, tier 1, tier 2, 3, whatever the case may be, the folks that are out here really doing this will be receptive to that. So and it's good to hear coming from you, Neil, again, that concentration and that focus on making sure you do the job right, as opposed to worrying about other things, right? You're going to keep the lights on. You're going to keep some food in the conference room refrigerator and all of that and things like that. But being focused on making sure that the product is right, the integrations is right. Eddie hooks into Headliner, hooks into Disco, hooks into Backstage. Is Backstage still a real product? Are we still doing Clubhouse?
Define real.
Are we? So, okay, I mentioned Clubhouse. So I guess, Bailey, tell folks what Backstage is, and then I'll regress. I know I keep going all over the place. It's like a squirrel, right? If there's...
Yeah. So Backstage kind of boomed last year with the rise of social audio. Let's call it the first iteration of Eddie.
Okay.
About a year ago, I guess now, Clubhouse was massive amount of following. People were signing up. Twitter Spaces had just launched. People were, doing audio through there. And there's this real need to have these spaces recorded. Back to Headliner's kind of main mission of sharing the magic of spoken word audio. This was a huge rising star of spoken word audio, and there was no way to get it from that live in the moment to anything else without a bunch of hacks. So we came up with Backstage, which started is a recording platform for Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse rooms. It also included a transcript, evolved from there to include a transcript and to include these summarization chapters and share pages to allow you to share that audio directly out onto a hosted page, right? So it was able for someone to listen back to any episode in an easy way that include chapters and included the transcript. So that will eventually come into Eddie.
Okay.
It's a similar enough platform, and Eddie is being actively worked on and is also transcript based. So you'll be able to, we still actually have a surprisingly good usage on it. People are still doing Twitter Spaces, and maybe less people are showing up to them in person, but that's why we're here, is to help more listeners hear the knowledge that's being shared on those live rooms afterwards. So that will just kind of be like an endpoint into Eddie, is these rooms.
Okay. And I personally appreciate that, because probably my most vocal community is on Twitter, right? And I would love to be able to record some of those sessions and repurpose them, move them about across other platforms and things of that. So to hear that being folded and not being completely abandoned is a great thing. Where are we at? What I don't want to say what's next, because again, if Neil wasn't here, right? Because we could talk about roadmaps and NDA and all those things, but you got the boss here, so we're not going to talk about secret private stuff. But
I don't feel like the boss, but video will be a big sea change as a whole. Bailey kind of touched on it. It's not just a drop in easy change. It needs to be supported properly. So you're going to see better video support across the whole spectrum. And I think the other big thing is we're going to try to get disco kind of the fabric of disco, or like the value of disco, of getting listens for people out there more, because we want to not just provide the functionality to promote, but we actually want to be helping you promote. And that's what we're hoping to add. So there's not just not just the best tools to create and repurpose, but also a way to help you meet your goal with the work of doing that repurposing, basically.
Love it.
If that makes sense.
Makes 100% clear, right?
Yeah.
Bailey, you got to close it out, right? You tell us where to go. Now, literally and figuratively, right? You know, the URL of where to go to see what's coming up, what's next, what's here today, and anything else that you want to mention specifically about Edit Eddie.
Yeah, I think anyone can sign up and check out Edit Eddie at editeddy.com, and it's free for now and 100% free for now. The more you abuse it, the quicker it will probably become paid. But but it is, you can go there and upload and edit your podcast. And feel free to give any feedback to me. There's a little light bulb that you can push in there to send feedback and let me know how you want to improve. And then if you want to create audiograms and don't have a Headliner account, you can go ahead and do that. Our automated YouTube videos that will automatically publish once you publish your episode, you can do that by setting up a Headliner account at headliner.app.
Listen, look at that, folks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna drop. She just dropped the mic right there, and Bailey is true. You click on the light bulb. If you got an issue, you got a question, a concern, feature request, she'll respond to you in like 15 minutes. Right. I've got the responses in 15 minutes. So, you know, I'm humbled.
She doesn't respond. She doesn't respond to me in 15 minutes.
Well,
I'm glad she's responding. I know. I'm just kidding.
I don't want to get you in trouble, brother. I don't want to get you in trouble. You guys are doing the good work,
send
though.
This to some people.
Yeah, I'll keep it recorded so you can send that part. Listen, you guys, again, as I said, are doing the good work. Appreciate you. We didn't have to talk about competition, because, I mean, what you're doing resonates and matters. And again, helps to folks understand and folks know, right? The words that we use really helps folks understand that this could be on par. This could be better than something that we're already using today. And why not take a look at it? Right? Take a look at how I can repurpose to other micro content locations, how I can be more customizable in my sharing, how I can auto populate my podcast to YouTube, all those things that we really want, we as content creators want to be doing effectively. Why not let Disco, Headliner, Edit Eddie do those things backstage? All those, I got to say, all of the kids in the family, right? Do those things for us. So for that, Neil, Bailey, I thank you for taking some time out of your day to come and talk about the products. And I will make sure that folks have links to Headliner and Edit Eddie so they can take advantage of it as well.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
James.
James.
All right, you guys be good.
Great.
We out.
Yeah.